What's up, YouTube? I want to go over now the Trayvon Martin Zimmerman case now, and now they've taken it to court and they're going to try him for second-degree murder. The DA actually went to the aid of the victim in this case, and they're going to look into this now and try and they may put it to jury or he may just plead guilty to the judge, but he's going to face some charges. So it's a good chain of events in this case. Let a jury decide this. We're hearing a lot of information on both sides. You say people saying, "Oh, he had every right to shoot him," and you see people saying that he completely murdered an innocent person. So it's good this is being taken to court, and you let the justice system handle it. So overall, now he was a neighborhood watch captain, and as a neighborhood watch captain, your job is to report suspicious activities. You walk around, go on patrol, and you make sure your neighborhood is safe. Like if anybody looks like they don't belong there, you see some guy with a van hanging around a house where people are on vacation, you want to report that to the police. As a neighborhood watch captain, if you see somebody that's driving through, seems to be avoiding you, and they look like they're breaking in somebody's house or going through someone's yard and they're trying to get away when you're there, you should record the license plate number and give it to the police. And, tell them exactly what the guy looked like and what he said and did. I mean, it's important in that kind of job. If you see somebody that looks like they're trouble because they had broken into somebody's house or, they are going through there with several other guys looking into places, but the fact is that they seem to be concealing themselves, then it's your job, to report it. If somebody clearly has broken the law, there's somebody that's not supposed to be in the property, like there's a restraining order, or, you have several guys at 5 a.m. looking into a house where somebody's on vacation. Yes, that is suspicious, especially if they were going through the property, especially if some strange dude's walking through somebody's yard and trying to get away from you when he sees you, that could be a burglary. But it's your job to call the police and report it. Say there's a guy that looks like he's 6'3", medium build, he's, got blonde hair, and give it to the police because that's their job. And, you see people that are just doing something like somebody has an ex that is not supposed to be there and you see him in the property. That's your job to call the police. Now, in this case, his duties did not include this. He went out there and he misprofiled against somebody, and he should not have carried that gun with him. And he was driving his car through the neighborhood on his patrol. And when he saw the kid, the appropriate thing to do would have been say, "Hey, how you doing?" and walk by. But he pursued this case. The kid didn't have anything on him. He said the kid looked like he was up to no good or on drugs. The fact was he was sober. He said, well, he's looking around. Well, he was probably looking for the house that his dad was living in. He was probably looking at the addresses, and the numbers in the houses to try and find his way back. And so this guy obviously went out of bounds. He was bothering this kid. He obviously had engaged an innocent person, so he didn't profile this right. I mean, they're having break-ins, yeah. I bet you the break-ins probably happened at 5 a.m. and late at night. And as a neighborhood watch captain, it's your job. Somebody calls you. If you ever get robbed, you call me. I got a gun and I can help you. If you ever have somebody that's suspicious, you call me. That's their job. But when he goes out there and tries to take the law in his own hands. See, he's playing with fire when he takes this gun around and then drives his car. And when the kid said, "Why are you following me?" he says, "What are you doing here?" Now he made a huge error. And this is going to cost him a lot. I mean, when he ended up engaging this kid, he got himself into a huge problem. But, a real neighborhood watch captain tries to de-escalate a situation. And they're, like a good prison guard isn't going to order an inmate around all the time and tell him what to do. They're going to be tough but fair. And they're going to interact with them, and they're going to be somebody you want to like you. Whereas this guy, when he did lose his temper, he really lost it. They know for a fact that when he was security guard at parties, when he lost his temper, he blew up like a Roman candle. I mean, that's one thing that, he was trying. He kind of had some bias in this case, too. He should not have bothered that kid. And also, why was he using bad language to the dispatcher and the police? You just don't want to cuss at the police. That's one thing about it. You don't cuss to them because that's just trouble. And it gets you taken the wrong way by them. And you want to be dignified on the phone there. And when he says, oh, these assholes always get away, that was uncalled for. He should have said, we got a suspicious individual that's trying to conceal himself, and if they said, we don't need you following me, he should have said, okay, you have a good day, and left. And this is where he should have been walking, not driving his car in the neighborhood watch. And if he had run to him face to face and said, hey, how you doing, he wouldn't have had this mess. But he went out there and tried to take things in his own hands and tried to apply the stand your ground. But the fact is that, he's had lacerations, and the kid is shot. He has non-life-threatening injuries when he's coming in, and the fire department treats him. You don't have a detailed doctor's note saying that his nose was broken and that there was blood on his shirt. And so, because of that, there isn't a real indication that he was justified to use that force. But, there may have been some injuries. It's good to let the real evidence speak in the case. I mean, he took a lot of, clearly should not have been so biased, and he was kind of acting very inappropriately, very immature. And, in the case, we're making the kid look sketchy in some of the news, but it's like, because he was wearing a hoodie, he's sketchy. I mean, this guy's got his ears pierced. Zimmerman's not so clean cut, but, there's definitely a side here. And maybe the kid did stand up against him, but this guy clearly shot him. And he had carried a gun with him, and it was a big mistake to do that. And it was a big mistake to do that. The real thing would have been to say, you touch me, you'll be hearing from the family lawyer. And the kid would have probably run if he had been attacked. Or he could have gotten in his car and called the police. But, this is where the gun made the situation messy. And now he's going to be charged. You don't want to engage people with guns to solve a problem. Like if you had some guy that were to mug you on the street, and you pulled out a gun and shot him, and he was still alive, he could say, oh my God, this guy called me a name and shot me in the first place. And then you would have something against you. And you'd have some manipulative guy who would use it to his advantage. And if there really was a thug, the thug would have gotten the gun from Zimmerman. And he would have seen Zimmerman coming a mile away, and Zimmerman wouldn't have caught on. So this is clearly, he was not in the qualifications to be a neighborhood watch captain. He's not a military trained guy who didn't make the final cut in police training, who can really see something and knows when something looks suspicious, it usually is. I mean, he clearly misjudged the situation, and he's in a mess for it. So it's good that they are charging him with second-degree murder now, and they're going to make sure the justice is handled. And they're going to let a jury handle this. They're not going to let people, make their opinions on it. So it's good. And thanks for